Hi there, I'm Nick, and I'm here to walk you through Capsule, app for developers and researchers. I'll try to show you how you can get maximum from it. And to start, let's launch the app. On the screen, you should choose the device. As I have my headband on, I'll choose the headband and start application offline. So they have found my headband, let's connect it. And voila, here we have the main screen with some basic information like serial number of the device, its firmware version, the battery level, when the session has started, and the duration of the session. Here you can also find a kind of dashboard with indices, rhythms, and frequency peaks. As you can see, it's not working because we haven't calibrated yet. To start the calibration process, we need to check the resistance of the electrodes in the device that I have in my head. If the resistance is below 500, the numbers turn green. As you can see, the resistance numbers are currently green, which means we can proceed to switch to the signal. So let's press switch to signal button. Okay, now you can see the raw data. This is the spectrum graph where you can see your brainwave activity. We display delta, theta, alpha, sensory motor, and beta rhythms. The most important rhythms for our algorithms are alpha, beta, and theta. Here you can also hide the rhythms if you need. So let's talk a bit more about these rhythms. Delta rhythms are linked to deep sleep states. However, with dry electrodes, it's often just a movement artifact, so we usually ignore it. Theta rhythm is associated with deep relaxation and anger, but very importantly, your theta rhythm increases as you get tired. Alpha rhythm corresponds to a state of calm wakefulness, and SMR is essential like an alpha rhythm, but for movement. When you sit still, your SMR goes down. Even if you imagine doing a movement, your SMR increases. And last but not least, the beta rhythm is the rhythm for a normal working state. Your concentration level, if you want. It increases when you are actively thinking. Below the spectrum graph is raw data graph. Here you can clearly see artifacts from muscle movements. For example, I can clench my teeth, and now you'll see these artifacts. Or if you want, I can close my eyes and you'll see what's called alpha spindles. So it's just small lines and waves appears on the graph. So you should see it now. So yeah, that was alpha spindles. So next thing that you have to do to make these indexes work, you have to go through the calibration process. So you need to close your eyes and sit for 30 seconds, trying not to think about anything. So it will help the system to measure your average brain activity levels. So you push this button, quick IPF calibration, and just close your eyes for 30 seconds. Perfect. After first calibration, you press the calibrate baseline button, and while the baseline is calibrating, let's talk a bit more about alpha frequency and alpha peak frequency. So these two metrics are based on the works of Bazanov and Klemish. IPF, or alpha peak frequency, is calculated by comparing the alpha rhythm ranges from 7 to 13 Hz when you have your eyes closed, and the peak frequency where the graph grows most significantly. IAF, or alpha frequency, is the average frequency of your alpha rhythm. IPF and IAF aren't fixed numbers. At different times and in different states, your alpha peak frequency and alpha frequency values will slightly vary. For example, if you're sleep deprived, your values will be lower than usual, and if you're well rested, they will higher. Based on alpha peak frequency and alpha frequency metrics, you can determine your predisposition to certain types of activities. For instance, people with an IAF over 10.5 are usually scientists, while those with an IAF between 9.5 and 10.5 are usually managers and entrepreneurs. People with alpha frequency lower than 9.5 are creative people. They find it tough to concentrate on one difficult task and prefer multitasking, creative work, communication with other people, and so on and so forth. So while I've been talking, my baseline was calibrated, so let's move on and talk about indexes. So the first index and the concentration index. Let's turn the graph on. Now we can see it here. The yellow line is the baseline determined during the calibration, and the red line is plus or minus 20% from the baseline. If you concentrate on something, focus your attention as much as possible, the concentration graph will rise. I will now try to focus on this graph and let's see will it work for me or not. Okay, it works not that good as I expected, but it works. If your concentration is below the baseline, it could be due to fatigue. In terms of measurements, the concentration index is the ratio of beta rhythm to alpha rhythm. Okay, let's scale a bit this graph and let's move on to relaxation index. So here you see the same picture. The relaxation baseline is the yellow line, plus or minus 20% red lines. And to increase your relaxation level, just close your eyes and try to relax. You'll see the graph immediately rise. If you concentrate, the relaxation graph will drop. During concentration, the relaxation level decrease. These metrics are inversely related. So now I'll try to close my eyes and relax, and you will see how it works in the graph. So yeah, it works. In terms of measurements, relaxation is the ratio of alpha rhythm to beta rhythm. Let's move on. The next index is fatigue index. We can open it right here. And let's scale it. So to scale, just double click on the graph, and actually same thing work here and here. Scale it. The fatigue index indicates the level of fatigue over time. You can select a different time period to examine previous data in greater details. When you're busy with a new task, your fatigue level increases rapidly. When your brain is processing something familiar, the graph goes down. In terms of measurements, the fatigue index is the ratio of your theta and alpha rhythms to beta rhythm. Another index that we have is accumulated fatigue. Let's adjust it. Accumulated fatigue is different from the fatigue index. It's based on the concentration. The higher your concentration index, the faster accumulated fatigue grows, and it always grows. If you relax, it stops growing but doesn't decrease. That's the difference from the fatigue index where fatigue decreases. When you are concentrating at your usual level, accumulated fatigue grows slowly, but it grows faster when you're extremely concentrated. Accumulated fatigue also increases when you're dealing with super difficult tasks. Also, we have here a reverse fatigue score or inverse fatigue index. Inverse fatigue is a graph showing the dominance of your beta rhythm over alpha and theta rhythms. It indicates whether you're focused or not. Okay, let's jump to the productivity tab. Here we have productivity score or productivity index if you want. It shows how busy your brain is in real time and how much you're engaged in solving a particular task. For people with IPF less than 10, productivity is inverse fatigue. For people with IPF more than 10, productivity is alpha gravity. Alpha gravity shows changes in your alpha rhythm range. It can indicate a state of constructive relaxation. If alpha gravity is above your baseline, you're in a state of constructive relaxation, and if below, means that you are not. The productivity index, inverse fatigue, and alpha gravity are interconnected. Essentially, they show whether you're relaxed or focused. Lastly, we have emotions. We can identify 5 types of emotions: focus, chill, stress, inner tension or anger, and self-control. You can play around with this, but to give you an idea, I'm going to focus and you'll see my focus and self-control levels rise. Okay, maybe not in terms of self-control, but it works with focus right now. Or, for example, I can try to relax and you will see how chill will rise. Let's try it. Yeah, it works like this. So let's close all the tabs and I'll show you that from the main screen. You can also label your data. So you can do it here with this user activity buttons. Why it can be interesting. For instance, you can define how certain tasks affect your metrics, such as a fatigue or concentration. Additionally, all the data recorded from the app is automatically saved into the Excel file, so you can easily locate it from here, File, Session Data. That's everything from me about the Capsule's functions for now, but you can try it out for yourself and check all the metrics I've spoken about in the demo mode. It's easy to find. Just let's stop. Here you can choose not the headband, but noise. So while you're choosing the noise and start offline, you see different types of noise. You can choose whatever you want, and voila. We are here. We can switch to signal. In a couple of seconds, will start working. The download link and instructions for the Capsule can be found under this video. So have fun exploring Capsule and let us know what you think.